Now, you did catch a break because they went to 3 games, but I think they gave him 5 games because they knew he would appeal. And then they're like, we can drop it down to 3, which we were going to give him anyway. Because if they give him 3, then he might have got 1. But at the end of the day, that right there was just it was a bonehead play. Marvin Lewis, stood up for him and said he's changed or whatever. Yeah, he's changed, I'm pretty sure, but that still was an unnecessary hit for anyone. I mean, the ball was, there was no doubt the ball was not coming to Anthony Sherman. So there was no need for the hit. So now you got to pay the price on it. But a lot of people called it dirty. I'm not calling it dirty. It was very, very, very unnecessary. Big L going back, I'm not going there with you, Big L, talking about Detroit, talking about question mark. Detroit won a playoff game last year. I missed it. Big L, what did Chicago win besides Trubisky? All right, leave it alone. So we're going to move on to some college football a little bit. Now, we got a game coming up, and we'll talk about this on Saturday's show, but the University of Michigan is playing Florida, and we got some other games out there, 3-3-4 Bama boys in here as well. So Alabama will be getting started in 3 days here, so they will be trying to make a run, back to the national championship. Can Clemson replace Deshaun Watson and some of the other guys that they lost? They lost a lot of guys, Mike Williams and, other guys on the defense. So college football is back, but we're going to start off with the University of Michigan. And the reason I just bring this up because this is more a tip of the hat, to Jim Harbaugh, which is head coach for the Michigan Wolverines. If you haven't heard, this brother put out his 2017 roster. Now, everyone's been wanting to see what this 2017 roster was going to look like. I guess they're trying to gain an advantage. He's trying to keep them from gaining an advantage, but also poke a little fun at them, give them a little hard, give them a hard time a little bit. So with the 2017 roster he released everyone that played for the University of Michigan that is a current NFL player on the roster. Again, I'm going to say that again. He released his roster. Everyone that was on there is in the NFL right now, currently as a player, but they were a Michigan Wolverine. Now, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would he do anything like that? That's why I tipped the hat, because what he's doing, first off, he's sticking it to the people that want to see this roster. He's keeping the roster a secret, but this is a great way to recruit because people are talking about it. And when you look at it and you go down that list, you're going to say, wait, of course we know Tom Brady, went there, all that stuff. But there's other guys that's on there that you may not have known that went there. And it's not just wide receivers. It's not just running backs. You got defensive tackle, defensive ends, linebackers, safety, cornerback. So you got a plethora of positions that he is basically recruiting. This is what he's doing. He's putting this out so these kids can look. There were 40 players on there. 40 players. Now, remember, some of these guys that's on there was long gone in the NFL before Jim got there. But Taco Charlton, Jordan Lewis, Jabril Peppers, guys like that got drafted this year. Previous year, maybe 2-3 years ago, Devin Funches. You got a lot of Michigan guys that's out there. So what he's doing, he's recruiting. He's showing these kids, look, we're putting people in the NFL too. If you want to get to the NFL, if you want to have a good shot, look at our list. We got some guys. They're not too bad. They're in the NFL. So I got to give a tip of the hat to Jim Harbaugh, man. That was, to me, that's genius. People are going to look at that and they're going to go down that list and they're going to say, you know what? I got to put Michigan on my list now. Or they may eliminate some people. If Chief was in here, I'm sure he'll be talking about Ohio State Penitentiary University, but he's not in here. So I'm glad, we not talking about that, but that's smart if you ask me. So, we're going to stay in the state of Michigan, and unfortunately, we're going to go to college basketball, and I'm not saying, unfortunately, college basketball, but the reason I'm bringing it up is that we lost a really good coach, a really great coach in Judd Heathcote a few days ago. He passed away at the age of 91, and if you know anything about Judd Heathcote, he was one of those guys who, if your kid went to Michigan State, you knew your kid was going to be taken care of. The other thing is he cared about, his players. He cared about people. And Judd Heathcote recruited some pretty good guys, that played in the NBA. Guys like Steve Smith, Kevin Willis, Sean Resford, Scott Skiles, and of course, probably the most famous one is Magic Johnson, but normally, we go back with this Michigan State thing, and one team hates the other and all that stuff. But it's all love tonight, for Judd Heathcote, because he always brought it on the court. His team always brought it, and they played the right way. They didn't cheat you. He didn't cheat you. And then also he set up for success for the future. In 1995, when he retired, he gave the reins to Tom Izzo, and we've seen what Izzo has done with that program since taking over. He's been a lifelonger with Judd Heathcote, Tom Izzo, that is. He's been a lifelonger with Judd Heathcote way before 95. So I just wanted to take this time out real quick. Judd Heathcote passed away. He's gone, 91 years old, but great coach, great guy, and enjoy, those times with the Michigan State, game. So, shouts out to my man De Leon, who's in the building as well. So appreciate you for joining in. We're almost there. We are about to finish up my NFL divisional reviews. We are going to do the NFC South. And we're going to conclude it because, of course, next week we got regular season football, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to get into that, but not yet. We're going to take another break, and we'll come back after the break, and then we'll talk about the NFC South. Let's go.
All music artists, lend me your ear. Looking for that hot beat to make your next hit? Go to FaroJaroMusic.com. Tired of paying for overpriced studio time for mediocre beats? Go to FaroJaroMusic.com. FaroJaroMusic.com offers industry-quality hip-hop, trap, R&B, and pop beats that will take your creativity to the next level. We know it's hard to find dope beats out there, so don't waste any more time searching YouTube for whack beat-selling websites. Go to FaroJaroMusic.com today to cop the beat for your next hit. Mixing and mastering services available too. Once again, go to FaroJaroMusic.com. That's FaroJaroMusic.com for the hottest beats in the game.
This is number one Chief Rocker Jersey Vern on a Recap Monday doing his recap show. We're going to talk about sports, entertainment. We're going to have call interviews, on the spot calls. This is just a show that will bring nothing but passion and joy and understanding to all the listeners on the Two Live Stews radio platform. The number one Chief Rocker Jersey Vern.
This is Key C from the
Kicking It With Key C show.
On the newly rebranded Two Live Stews Radio Network. We will continue to bring you the hottest, most interesting guests and commentary in the areas of social, politics, culture, music, and more. Continue to tune in.
Let's go, give it to you.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight on the Two Live Stews Radio Network. You are listening to
It's the Wait a Minute Show
with your man, your host, your guy, Jelani JB Bodie, and my man Lopan, the co-star. of this show we call the Wait a Minute Show. So, like I said before, we're going to get into this whole NFC South review. If you're new to it and missed the other previous 7 divisions, this is how it goes. Basically, we recap how everybody finished last year, and then I go through and I give you how I have everyone finishing this year and why and where, when, how, that all good stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. Now, of course, the 4 teams in the NFC South, if people do not know, is you got the Atlanta Falcons, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New Orleans Saints, and the Carolina Panthers. So how this played out last year is in 4th place was the Panthers. The Panthers pretty much Super Bowl hangover, if you will. That's what people are going to call it. Did not have the same success that they had, the previous year. They went 15-1, but they came out pretty flat. I think Cam wasn't healthy that entire year as well, so they went 6-10. New Orleans didn't fare, too much better, but they went 7-9 with Drew Brees, and they found themselves pretty much probably a new number 1, wide receiver in Michael Thomas. So they're trying to build, off of that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Hard Knocks, reality show team this year. They finished 9-7. They came on strong at the end of the year, but they fell just a little bit short of making the playoffs. And of course, we know the Atlanta Falcons finished 11-5 with going to the Super Bowl before losing Super Bowl 51. They had this prolific offense. They got guys, that came out of nowhere like Taylor Gabriel and Mohamed Sanu, that people may not have known, at the beginning of the season, but they found out about, these guys at the end of the season as well. So that's how it played out last year. How I see it playing out this year is a little bit different. It may surprise some folks, but we're gonna go through it. So without further ado, I'll start with number 4. Number 4 that I got finishing last in this division is gonna be the Saints. And I know some of the Saints fans aren't going to like that. Easy is not going to like that, but it is what it is. They have a big problem on defense. 27th in defense last year. So basically everyone was scoring on them. They had the number 1 offense. So it was kind of, masked, if you will, because this offense, they were moving up and down the field, so well with Drew Brees. I mean, Drew Brees is awesome. I mean, we already know Drew Brees is going to be a Hall of Famer, but I mean, this dude has really, really, really put teams on his back. And to get 7 wins out of what they had is extraordinary. But they need to do something with their defense, get better. Unfortunately for them, they were in the talks of getting Joe Hayden that got cut today, and then he got another job within hours with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But New Orleans Saints was on the list of teams that might land Joe Hayden, but it didn't work out that way. So now they got to get their secondary still solidified and they get that defensive side. Now, again, I talked about last year with Michael Thomas. This is good news, for the Saints. You traded away Brandon Cooks after 1 year having Michael Thomas, and he went, and I joke a lot, but he went from a second-round draft pick out of Ohio State University to being the number 1 wide receiver. And they traded Brandon Cooks out of there because they felt they had their guy. And he had a really, really good season for a rookie. So they're going to be trying to build off of that. He was one of the bright spots, on this team. Drew Brees, you always got a shot with Drew Brees. It's just, the man is still human. He can't do everything. Now they brought in Adrian Peterson to try and help out with the run game. Maybe they want to slow it down a little bit. Mark Ingram, he's had a little bit of a health concern. Last year, it wasn't like the previous year, with his health. He had a pretty decent, when it comes to health for him, that is. But Adrian Peterson, he had problems with health. But basically what I think the Saints are going to do, they're going to try and slow it down. Maybe take it out of Brees' hand just a little bit. Give your defense a break. We saw what Dallas did. It worked, but Now, they don't have anyone like Ezekiel, on their team, but it is what it is. If you can control